Welcome to Inspiring Journeys, the podcast where we celebrate the resilience and triumph of the human spirit. I'm your host, Paul Stressner, and together we'll explore the stories of motivation, personal growth, and navigating life's toughest transitions. Whether you're looking to stay active and healthy, explore new paths of self-discovery, or cultivate a positive mindset, you're in the right place. Join us as we share real stories from real people, each offering a unique perspective on overcoming adversity and emerging stronger on the other side. All right, everybody, welcome to Inspiring Journeys. This is technically episode one. I think we'll count the last one as
The
like a
intro.
prologue. Yeah, exactly. And yeah, a little different from Journey the Road Runner. We're going to start things off with things that we're grateful for. So we'll mention one thing that we're grateful for. And Kerri, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure. Today I am grateful for music. I have had such a week this week, and I got to tell you, like, I was driving my car the other day, and a song came on, and it put me in such a great headspace. Like, it's like completely, instantly, like, turned my mood around, and like I was singing and jamming in the car, and just like it completely turned around my day. And I was thinking to myself, just like how like valuable that is, like to have like something that you're able, and I don't know how you got, like, music is my life. Like, it literally, it surrounds pretty much my entire life. But to have that and to know that, I can turn to that in times where I need to put myself in a different headspace and count on it is pretty incredible. So I'm grateful for music today.
Yep, love that. Love that. Yeah, music's so
Yeah.
powerful.
Mhm.
Yeah. What about you, Adriana?
Today and yesterday, this weekend, I'm grateful for the sun because we haven't seen sun in weeks. And I got out in the woods with the dog, with a friend of mine and her dog yesterday, and then I took a friend's dog and my dog out today in the woods, and it was just awesome to be out. It was a little deceiving because it looks a lot warmer than it is, but just getting out in the fresh air and having some sun on my skin was like really, it just changed everything, because it's just been so dark and like rainy and crappy around here. So that really, it made the weekend, my energy levels higher. Everything just
Yeah.
felt better after being in a couple days in the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. Once that sun hits you, it's just like,
Yeah.
hmm,
Yeah,
We're like
exactly.
plants, but cooler.
right? Way cooler.
Yeah, we did that. I had Adriana for personal training yesterday. We did a famous burner.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
And then like that afternoon I ended up going to Statues, the wildlife refuge, and went for a nice long walk there.
yeah,
Enjoyed the sun there, and then I went for a run this morning, so with my
it's
new
awesome.
shoes.
I
So
like the picture. I got a picture of
yeah.
his new shoes. It was cool.
Yeah, my
New
new
shoe day
Brooks.
is the best. I love new shoe day. I can't,
Yeah.
I have to get new ones soon, and I can't wait. I'm so excited because like I like beat the hell out of my shoes, and
Yep.
so like by the time they're done, they are done. And so it always feels like you're like got so much spring in your step the first time out the door
Mhm.
with them.
Oh
It's
yeah.
incredible.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
Hmm.
See, and for mine today, it's yeah, I'm grateful for the CLS community I belong to. It's Cultivating Lasting Symphony with Craig Siegel. I think I've mentioned that a few
Yeah.
times, and it's incredible. We meet like on Zoom at lunchtime 3 times a month on Wednesdays, and sometimes he has like once a month he has like a huge speaker on, and while we're talking, we're all chatting on the side, and everybody has different background, everybody's doing something different, but it's all inspiring. It's so powerful. And yeah, I think it's like a big reason why like I'm growing a lot now, and making some headway, making a lot of changes lately for the good. So yeah, I'm loving that. So and speaking of that, we'll get into today's guest, Misty Johnson. She's somebody that I became friends with through the CLS. And I saw that she had made a post that she went to the gym for the first time in 7 years due to anxiety. And in episodes 94 and 95 of Journey the Road Runner, Adriana and I had actually covered like anxiety at Gym Fright, and so it really caught my attention when I saw Misty's story, and I was inspired to bring her on. And not only, her anxiety was like next level, but compared to the reasons that we shared, but
Yeah.
she battled for 7 years without giving up. So it's my honor to present to you our first guest of Inspiring Journeys, the resilient and badass Misty Johnson. Hi,
Hello.
Misty.
Welcome.
See?
So, how are you guys?
Awesome.
Doing good. How are you today?
Doing good. Doing good.
Yeah, welcome to the podcasting world.
Well, thank you for having me.
And yes, as we were saying just before we started recording, we're breaking Misty's podcasting cherry.
Yes, we are.
So, and then yeah, it's appropriate the first guest on our show too. So this is great. And yeah, so we can start with get some background with where you're from, where you grew up.
Um, I am from a very small town in Pennsylvania. It's called it's extremely small, like population between like 1,500 and 2,000. Um, uh, Not really a whole lot to do there growing up. And said eventually after I graduated high school, I moved to a small town in New York. And now, like I said, and I've kind of been all over. We've lived in Buffalo, New York. I've lived in Houston, Texas. This is our third time actually back in this town where we're at.
Oh.
So just kind of been all over with my husband and my kids.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so let's hear about your fitness journey.
Um,
Now, you had like you go to the gym, do you run a lot or anything? Do you run at all or
I used to run, but I have like I have bad allergies, and where we live at, the what I'm allergic to just kicks my butt. So I don't really do a whole lot of running anymore. I do like biking and like indoor biking.
Mhm.
But I used to go to the gym all the time and would spend a few hours at the gym a couple times a week. Loved it. But after like 7 years ago, I had a bit of a nervous breakdown and had a hard time going back into the gym. And every time I would start to exercise, I even had a hard time starting to exercise again because I just associated that elevated heart rate with working out with anxiety. And so every time I would start to feel my heart rate go up, I would start to have a panic attack because I was thinking I was going to kick myself back into the nervous breakdown. So I'd get nervous. So I'd just stop and I would just sit still. And I went for a couple months to where I didn't do much movement at all. I would just sit on my couch or lay on my floor and just be afraid to move. And got to a point where I realized I couldn't live like that anymore and started doing small things like just getting up and walking around my house. And then gradually started doing like yoga, doing like maybe 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes of yoga every day. And kept progressing it up to a couple times a day, doing like 5 to 10 minute sessions of yoga. And just every day it grew more and more. And then once I was finally starting to feel like I was able to start going back out into the public again, because like the anxiety had got to me, not even just going to the gym, going out in public, going to the stores, being around people, it was tough. And because I would associate that overwhelmed feeling. I'd get that elevated heart rate and just start freaking out again. It's like, I don't want to feel that again. And I was just kind of starting to get afraid of the anxiety. And then when when I was starting to build myself up and going out, COVID hit and we couldn't go anywhere. And that kind of threw me for a big loop and I turned myself into a recluse again. So now by the time they opened everything up, it was a slow journey of getting me back out and about. and started with the exercise again. And then I guess I should say too, when I was starting to exercise right at the beginning of COVID, and I was still exercising and trying to get out and about, I hurt my back.
Oh.
So then I couldn't exercise. I went for months, because it was like, I'm gonna push through this. I never went to the doctor for it. I had assumed I was a nurse in my previous years. I was a nurse, and I was like, based on what I knew, it seems like it's a herniated disc, and just I didn't want to go and expose myself to the doctor's offices or anything at the time. So I just was trying to nurse it through, and I kept pulling it again and hurting it again. So finally I just got to where I just went back and laid on the couch, didn't move again. And I went a good 4 months before I could actually get up and start doing things again with my back. And like even walking outside was a chore. I couldn't even get in my car for 4 months. And then gradually started exercising again. Once I started onto that, tore my rotator cuff. And it was just a partial tear, but then it went into a frozen shoulder. And just trying to do everything with that. And the anxiety just kept growing and growing. And my husband was like, hey, let's try this. He's like, I heard this mental toughness thing. He's like, let's try it. So I don't know if you're familiar with 75 hard.
Yep.
And he's like, let's do 75 hard. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. I'll give that a go.
Can you explain that for anybody
Yes.
that doesn't know?
75 hard is like a mental toughness program that lasts for 75 days. And there's tasks that you have to do every day. 2 of them include 2 45-minute workouts. At least one has to be done outside. There's like a daily photo that you have to take. You follow a diet program, and there's no specific set diet program. It's whatever you choose as your diet program is what you follow. And there's no cheat meals, no alcohol. And you have to read 10 pages of a self-help like a self-help betterment book. You have to read at least 10 pages per day. So I was like, sure, let's do it. And I did complete that. And at that time when I completed it was with my frozen shoulder. But with completing it, like the outside workout, like I said, that was a challenge for me because like I said, the allergies were so bad. So some days my outdoor workout was just me being able to stand out on my sidewalk and like do leg lifts or squats or something. Just that was all I would do sometimes, but I did it, and that helped me, gave me the confidence to know, okay, I can do things. I'm stronger than what I'm giving myself credit for. So that kicked me into just kept pushing and pushing. And then late last year, we found CLS, and I found a bunch of new people and support systems and got introduced to NLP. And it just like was total game changer for me. And I just kept pushing through. And then finally this year, it was like I've now tasked myself every day. I give myself a different task to try to do to push past my comfort zone. And that one day it was just like I told myself all week long, I'm like, this Saturday, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to the gym. Even if I stay there 5 minutes, I'm going to the gym. And it ended up, my daughter had to come and she's like, Mom, are you ready to go yet? I'm like, sure. Okay, we can go. I'll finish my workout at home. But yeah, so it's been a long, long journey, but I've got there.
Yeah. I just discovered NLP recently, neuro linguistic programming. Friend of mine that did you learn it from Sean Hill?
Yes, I did. She was my trainer because now
Okay.
She trained me, and I am a NLP practitioner and coach. I now do she trained me for hypnotherapy and timeline therapy. And so it's been game changer. Now I'm using it to help other people. And I love seeing other people go through their transformations now. It's been amazing.
That's
it's amazing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Adriana.
was your job like as a nurse, was that like what really kind of started like stressing you out? And
Um,
that can
I've
be a really hard job for a lot of people emotionally.
yeah, I had anxiety my whole life. Like I came from a uh kind of a stressful background a little bit. Like I my I was my household, I had some relatives who had some drug issues, was raised around that, had was mentally, physically, sexually abused as a child, um, brought myself through it, still continued to go on and put myself through nursing school, and it was an amazing job. I loved it. I loved being able to help people, but it was extremely stressful and it did end up contributing to that stuff that was sitting back there, and it
Okay.
brought the anxiety out more and more, to the point of where they said I was a nurse. I was in the offices and hospitals daily, to the point to where by the time I left the medical field in 2014, I was having anxiety attacks even walking into a hospital or a doctor's office.
Wow. Hence the
So
reason you go in to get your back looked at.
yeah, yeah,
That makes sense.
That's hard. I was when you were talking about how you were breaking apart your workouts in 5 to 10 minute intervals during the day, that really resonated with me. I know I have anxiety, and the more stress there is in my life, the more it becomes harder to be able to wrap my head around something monumental. Like if I have on the schedule, I have like a 15-mile run or something like that, and I'm having a week where like everything spiraled out of control and I'm just trying to survive. Having 15 miles is way too much for me to process. So I have adopted that same, like, I'm just gonna go out and I'm gonna run for 5 minutes, and I'm gonna see how it goes. And if I do okay and I feel okay, then I'll go for another 5 minutes, or I'll go for a mile, and then I'll see how I go. And sometimes that process is just enough to be able to get me to where my goal is, with the understanding of, being okay with pulling back and being like, you know what, I did 5 minutes today. That's all that I can do. That's enough. And we're going to call it for the day. So that one really hit home with, I totally understand that whole like break it apart where you can.
yeah. That was one of my big things, is because when I used to have this thing of I would beat myself up terrible. It was like, oh, I only did like 5 or 10 minutes. That's all I did. And I had it in my head that I wanted to do this much and I didn't get that. So I beat myself up terrible. And um, one of the things that really got to me and taught me to celebrate things more is when I learned NLP. Like one of the presuppositions, and it's my favorite one, is that there's no such thing as failure. There's only feedback. You cannot fail. It's everything you do. If you don't succeed at it, it's not a failure. It's just feedback of what you need to look at, evaluate, and move
Yep.
on and see what you need to do different to try it again.
100%. I
That's
totally agree with that.
And that actually is one of my favorite presuppositions. I use that one daily. If I can't figure something out, or if I'm talking to somebody and it's like they're disappointed in themselves, or I even sometimes I still tend to like, oh, I didn't get this done. I didn't do that. And it's like, okay, there's no failure. What do I need to do different tomorrow to get it done? And then I just feel so much better. I have a completely different mindset about it, and I'm able to keep going on.
Yep.
Yeah. Like, I guess one of the things like that was a big game changer for me with that is, like I said, I haven't been able to go like going into doctor's offices and hospitals. It was uh over the summer, my daughter had an issue where she had to uh, get rushed to the hospital and almost have emergency surgery. And I just was panicking so bad I couldn't be there. But my husband was there with her, and I was on FaceTime the entire time. But when she started having some of the same issues in September, it was like I was able to get her to the hospital. I was able to take her to these places, but I couldn't go to the hospital that she had to actually end up going to because our local hospital was so backed up. And then I stayed home alone, and I was ready to spend the night by myself. And it was like I was beating myself up because I was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't be there for her. The anxiety won. And I was like, no, it didn't, because I was able to get her somewhere that 2 weeks ago, I couldn't take her.
Mhm.
And anytime I had to be home alone, I had to have my oldest daughter, who lives out on her own. I would have to have her come and sit with me. And I hadn't been in my home alone, like sleeping, spending the night in like 20 years. So I was like, I was doing that, and I'm like, okay, so I didn't fail at this. I got myself to this point. So what do I need to do now to get myself to that next point? You know, and I felt so much better about it. Instead of beating myself up, I just accepted and celebrated that I did have some wins in there. And then so that it kind of ties in everywhere and everything that I've been doing. And like I said, that one was just an example, but my biggest one has been with the gym and my fitness, because I have been so afraid of working out, and to a point of where I wouldn't even work out if I was home alone. If I had nobody here in the house, I would sit on my couch. I wouldn't move. And now I'm like completing my exercises. I'm doing 30 minutes on the bike when I'm home alone. I'm doing it. I'm loving it. It's like such a feeling of freedom.
Mhm. Yeah.
Now, can I ask a question? I don't have anxiety. I mean, I shouldn't say I've never been anxious. I've definitely had, like, more like if I'm trying to sleep and something's bothering me, my brain will race, but never actually had it to like go anywhere or do anything.
Mhm.
So it's like the breathing, like your heart rate going up is what like freaks you out. Like it's gonna, like, do you like what, like, I don't understand. So like for listeners, I think like myself, like I don't understand like what, like, is it because your heart gets so going so fast that you just get like,
Yeah, when I used to go into an anxiety, like the anxiety would raise and I would feel a panic attack coming on. It's like the heart just starts racing. You feel like you're having difficulty breathing. It feels like something's sitting on your chest, and you almost feel paralyzed at times, like you can't move. And then you start like, you're sweating, but you're freezing and you're shaking. And it's, so it was like anytime my heart rate would go up, I would automatically think I was going into a panic attack or having anxiety. And then that would kick off the anxiety. And then I'd start having heart palpitations because of the anxiety. And
okay.
then I'd get like an anxiety.
Spirals.
Yeah, everything. It was just like a big spiraling mess.
Snowball, yeah.
So like
Yeah.
now when you work out, it feels like your heart rate getting up, like now you relate that more to like, oh, this feels good. Like I'm going to sweat. I'm going to like push my stress out. Cause like for me, if I'm stressed, like pushing it harder, that's what helps my stress go away. Like lifting heavier, sprinting faster, like if I'm in a state where I'm really like upset, stressed out, anxious, like me raising my heart rate, like me not being able to breathe makes me feel like I'm going to get out of it. If that it's like almost opposite of what you have going on. Like if I'm like, I'm gonna push till I like can't breathe anymore, because then everything that's like bothering me, it's irrelevant because I'm just trying to breathe. It's almost like that's why I was curious, because I'm like, wow, that's gonna, like, I almost feel like when I can't breathe, I can't think of anything that's bothering me because I can't breathe. you know
Yeah. Now, like when I'm working out and my heart rate starts to go up, like I'll look at my watch, I'll see what it's going to, and I'll be like, okay. And I just remind myself that I'm safe and it's getting me toward my goals. It's putting me
Okay.
back on track for my fitness goals. And I need my heart rate to go up to do this and to be healthy. And then
Okay.
it's like, once I say that to myself,
Good.
it relaxes me, and I can put my mind back into the workout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that must have
had
been
a
so.
client. Yeah, oh, I'm sorry, Paul.
I was going to say that must have been so frustrating because obviously you want to exercise because you've been keeping at it all these years, but then then you'd
Oh
have these
yeah.
panic attacks. Yeah,
Yeah, it was rough.
so frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a young client. She was in her 20s and she would be like, I get nervous when I can't breathe when I push hard. I'm like,
Yeah.
just don't worry about it. You're not going to die. She's like, yeah, but it like, makes me anxious. I'm like, so don't think about it. Just don't. You'll catch your breath eventually, because I didn't really get it. And she'd laugh at me. She's like, all right, I'll do my best. I'm like, I promise if you pass out, I'll be right here. Because I didn't get it. I would just kind of like mess with her. And I think me like making jokes about it probably like lightened her up a little because she was
Yeah.
fine. She didn't quit,
Yeah.
But she's like, it gets me real nervous when I can't breathe. I'm like,
Yeah.
you're not going to suffocate. I'm like, you'll get your breath eventually. Like, and she's like, well, it's like anxiety. I'm like, yeah, just like, you'll be fine. Cause I had no idea like how
Don't worry,
bad.
be fine.
Yeah. And she's fine. Like she's still to this day. Sometimes when she gets, because she's like falls off here and there, we all do. And she's like, I'm back at that place again where I get nervous. I'm like, I promise you're not going to die. Like, you'll be good. And she always laughs about it. She's like, here we go again. Cause I'm like, it's just like, cause I didn't actually understand, it's just like anything you don't experience. It's the only way I can understand is to basically like have you explain it to me. Cause I'm like, I don't understand the nervousness of that. I have ADHD too. So for me, it's like, getting to that point where I can't breathe, that's when like my nervousness goes away because I'm like anxious and not even anxious, just I have that energy all the time like that. It's like irritating. It's like bouncy balls inside,
Yeah.
So like me going to that extreme kind of takes my, I guess, whatever. I wouldn't necessarily call it anxiety. I just more of like extra energy. That kind of is what takes mine away. It's like I'm sucking wind and like my brain shuts off for a while. I'm like, whoo, I have no squirrels upstairs for a little while.
Yeah.
Squirrels be gone.
Yeah.
Too funny.
Yeah, like for me, there was times when the anxiety would kick in and I would just be sitting and my heart rate would be like 175. And
Wow.
it was just like trying to do
sick.
things to relax myself to bring that back down. So
Yeah.
and it was scary because I'd be home alone and that was happening. And I knew it was the panic and the anxiety and I was okay and I was fine. But then my brain's like spiraling saying, well, what if this happens? And what if this happens? And if you get up and move and your heart rate's going to go even higher. And then the nurse part of me kicks in, like, well, how high is too high? And, going, so it was just a big mess. And so I just found comfort in just sitting. And then I realized I can't be doing this. That's not good for me. That's not good for my mental health. It's not good for my overall health just to sit here. So just the determination and drive to get better and get rid of it. And kept telling myself, if I can be up there working out and let my heart rate raise so I can work out and get healthy, then I know that I am healthy and I don't have to worry about these other things.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it was, it wasn't the easiest, but I got through it and I pushed it. And now like I said, I'm so thankful every day that I was able to dig deep and find that strength to push myself through to get me to where I'm at today. Cause I feel like I'm living again. I'm living my life again. I'm not in fear all the time.
So what would you say to somebody who kind of had your same experience? Like, what would you say to like really just get them off the ground? Like what would you tell them how to get back to, or to just go to the gym period? Cause I don't know if you heard the podcast when we talked about gym fright, but there are a lot of people who just don't want to walk to the door for various reasons, whether they've been there before and they're out of shape or, there's a million reasons. Like, what would you suggest kind of those anxious people who are having a hard time getting back at it?
Just take the smallest step, even if it's, give yourself a goal, set yourself a goal and that your goal is to like get back at it and then make small actionable steps along the way and reward yourself each step of the way. Even if for this day, your actionable step is to go and drive to the gym and sit in the parking lot. You did it. Congratulate yourself, celebrate it. And the next day say, okay, I'm going to walk in the door. And if that's all the farther you get is walking in the door, great. You did what you wanted to do and just push yourself one step further, be it every day, every other day, every week, just something to push yourself further, to keep pushing yourself out of that comfort zone so you can get to that point of growth so that now that becomes your new normal. So getting in the door is now your new comfort zone. So now getting over to like at my gym, we have to go through the lobby and up a set of stairs. So now it's like, okay, if I can get to the stairs, that's my new comfort zone. And so just every day pushing farther and farther until you get to where you want to be. But don't focus on that goal. Focus on those steps.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear more about NLP, and because from some, like I've done a little bit of research on it as we've kind of prepared for the podcast, but I'd love to hear your perspective on what it is for myself and for the listeners.
Okay. So basically what NLP is it's like neuro linguistics and programming. So it's like your neurology, the emotional mental part. And then it's the way that you communicate with yourself and talk to yourself. And then it's like the programming from your past experiences. So it's really, so if you think about it, I always use this one because this was one of my favorite ways that it was explained to me is you're bringing in all this information daily, and then you have this internal model of the world that's based off of your experiences, your beliefs, your values, and as you're bringing in all this information every day, like every second, it filters and it filters, distorts, and it oh my gosh, I can't even think the last word. But yeah, it basically filters everything down and chooses what's going to stay up in the unconscious mind, will stay up in your conscious mind, and what's going to go back to the unconscious mind. So if you think about it, you bring in 11 million bits of information per second. It filters it down to 126 bits of information per second. And that's all based off of your experiences, values, and beliefs. And you can change by changing the way that you talk to yourself, the way that you do things. You can change the way that you start to think, and that'll change what gets filtered out. And and it's going to help you to achieve your goals and get your desired outcomes, and actually it improves your overall well-being and helps you to live your best life. Like I know for me, this kind of goes back to how I was saying about the gym, just taking that little step. I've always been afraid of heights. Don't know where it came from. No clue where it came from. It just is in there in my unconscious mind that I'm afraid of heights, and I don't know where it came from. And we have in our town, there's a college and there's a nice little art museum in there. But the art museum, you have to walk up these stairs, and it's an elevated platform that you walk around to get to the different exhibits. And me and my husband were down the one day, and I wasn't even thinking, and I started walking up the stairs, and I made it to the second landing, and I froze and just like couldn't move. And I was like, and him like, I'm afraid of heights. And he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, and then I was sitting there thinking, like, I don't know why I'm afraid of heights. I can't think of anything. I have no evidence of anything bad ever happening that I should be afraid of heights. Mm-hmm. So I did that, pushing it every day. We went to this museum every single day, and every day I pushed myself to walk up one or two more steps. And then once I finally got up to the rest of the steps, it was walking a couple more steps farther out. And then I was going through my NLP journey at this time, and I had this dream, and it was like I was talking in my dream to like me as a child. And in my dream, it was like, I don't know why I'm afraid of this. I don't know what's going on. Nothing ever happened to me. This is irrational. And it was like the next day, I just went in there and I was determined, just went up the stairs, walked away around the whole thing. And now we go all the time, and I can go and enjoy all the exhibits and not worry. And it's like, now I'm looking for my next thing to conquer for heights. And so it's just changing how you talk to yourself and reframing your thoughts. And it's amazing how quick it happens too.
Yeah, it's building, like, not all the way, but like really having that positivity mindset of like, telling yourself this is what I want to accomplish, and then really following through with it and telling yourself it's going to be okay. And that like, if you just take it little by little, like we're going to get there. And that, for me, like, I'm always like, okay, this is what went right. And this is where like we kind of went off the path, and how can I get myself back onto that path again? But that's a really cool way to approach it and to be successful in what you want to do with your goals and life.
Yeah. And even like a day, like I said, it's all like how you talk to yourself, because we all have a choice. We have a choice on everything, how we feel, what we say, what we do. And like, I can think of, I was probably about almost to the end of my training for NLP, and I was having a day where I was anxious. I don't know where it came from, just feeling anxious. My husband was at work and it was my daughter's day off of work. So I was like, well, she's home. I'm going to hang out with her for today. Just see if she wants to hang out, do something. So I'm not by myself. Well, then no sooner I had that thought, she comes in and she's like, hey, I got called into work. I got to get going. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, well, I guess I have all this stuff I've got to get done today, but that can wait until later when people get home. So I'm just going to go grab a book and curl up on the couch and just not move for the rest of the day and just read, because that's how I used to cope with it. I would do that. I would cope with it through reading or baking. um, um, so I was like, okay, I can do that. And then I was like, wait a minute, stop. I'm like, what's going on around me? And like, I will literally have conversations out loud with myself. And it's like, what's going on with you right now? What's going on around you that's making you feel anxious? And I'm like looking around like nothing. Like, so are you safe? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so then why are you choosing to feel anxious right now? If you can choose to feel anxious, you can choose to feel safe and relaxed. And I was like, okay, I'm going to choose to feel safe and relaxed. And it was just like that. The anxiety just melted away. I have no clue where it went. And I just went on about my day, got everything finished. And I never even thought about the anxiety again the rest of the day.
Wow.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. And
Yeah.
it's been life changing.
Yeah, I bet. Like that's really, it's cool. And you know, like the research that I've done a little bit about, like I've kind of like started to really focus in on that. And it is true. Like when you're just like, when you're talking to yourself and you're like, okay, so why am I feeling like this is overwhelming? Why am I feeling like I'm angry at the world right now, or like that everything around me is out to get me? Because that's the one thing, like if you're having a bad day, like, and everything that happens during that day is something that's terrible and horrible in your mind, right? And you're just like, great, this like another thing that's happened today that's just making it worse. And it's that mentality in your head that you're accepting that it's like this negative, that everything's negative. There's nothing positive. There's nothing good. There's nothing like that you can look at to change your mind frame, because you're stuck in this headspace that everything is just horrible and terrible and you can't get out of it. And if you really just stop and think to yourself, why am I acting this way? Like, is it like really that bad? Is what happened really that bad? And I'm like talking like you stub your toe, like in the middle of having a bad day, and like you stub your toe, or you hit your elbow, or you drop something on the ground, and you have that like knee-jerk reaction of like, oh great, here we go, like the day is continuing to be terrible. If you're just like, and I've been there, I've done it. And you know, if you change your mindset and you're just like, okay, well, this happened, and you know, I'm gonna, take it in for what it is, but then I'm gonna not let this affect what's going on with me and what's going on with the people around me. And I'm gonna get through this, and we're gonna think of it from a positive standpoint versus, everything is horrible and terrible in the world and whatever else. It's that mindset,
Yeah. And one of the things that really helps me too with that is like, you have that, like, and it's probably been said a million times, but it's like, you're like, you get up in the morning, you're running late, something happens with your car, and then, you get to work and it's, you're having an issue with a coworker or something going on. And it's like, you just automatically like, this is such a bad day. Well, if you're thinking that it's automatically a bad day, you're going to attract that it's a bad day.
Yep.
Yeah.
Whereas
So true.
if you just say, well, this was a bad hour,
Yep.
the rest of the day is going to be great, and you just focus on the good things going on, it's going to change your day. It's not a bad day. It's just a bad section of the day.
Right.
I mean, there's people, look at all like the cases of like people who had like terminal cancer and they just have like a really good attitude. And it's
Right.
like, how did so-and-so beat cancer? Like
Yeah.
they were stage 4, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, they were in a great headspace. Like they, I have a family member who's had shingles for like years. She's got a shitty attitude. She's miserable. And it's like, everything's a complaint. And I say to my mom all the time, like, I like, she's miserable. Of course, these things are happening all the time. Like you're not happy ever. Like if you're always, there was a woman who used to go to the gym too. Same thing. She was older. She had shingles. I'm like, how's it going? Awful. And every time you talk to her, and I remember I had a broken ankle and she called me to check on me, which I thought was really sweet. I had ankle surgery. The doctors broke it, and I'm laying there, and I said, wow, I never had nerve pain before, and I got it. They must have cut some nerves in the surgery. And I said, now I know how you feel. It's terrible. It really hurts. And she goes, well, it's not as bad as mine. And I started laughing. And I said, I bet you it's not. And I got off the phone laughing because it's like, first of all, how do you know? Number one. Number two, thank God it's not. Because even if, it was just the funniest thing. I remember laughing about it because I'm like, man, she called to check on me, and she's like, and I said, wow, I know how you feel now. It's terrible. The nerve pain really sucks. It's a bitch, And she's like, well, it's not as bad as mine. And I was like, you can have that. You can wear that badge, lady.
If you wanna sue in that, you go for it.
Yeah.
That's all you.
Wonder why it's not going away. Shingles, they already say stress brings it on, right? So the people I know who've had it, and it's the same thing with Eddie. You talk to these people who are more optimistic, and it's I have a friend who's an alarmist, and I have one who's the most chill dude, and I had to go to colonoscopy, and I just, as a game, I wanted to ask them both their experience. My the chill dude's oh, it's not so bad, buddy. Just hang around the toilet, watch a couple movies, they'll pump you full of some stuff, you'll take a good nap, and then you're moving on again. The other one's oh my God, you're gonna shit your brains out, anywhere, you have to be by a toilet, you're gonna feel horrible, you have no energy, you should take the next day off of work. And I'm like, whoa. And literally it was just like my buddy said. I'm like, yeah, I got a freaking awesome nap.
That's great.
It was just so crazy because to your point, it's the mind over matter thing. So people's heads are so powerful, and if you're telling yourself it's gonna suck, you basically set yourself up for it.
It's gonna suck. It is gonna be terrible. It's so true. Your brain is, you literally convince your brain. You're just oh, this is gonna be terrible. This is gonna suck. This is just gonna be horrible. And then you have a really shitty day, and it's just, you really have to just be stop. Why are you thinking this way? I literally will say that to myself. Be you need to just stop right now, Kerri, and you need to freaking think about what the hell it is that's going on inside your head, because this is not as big of a deal as you're making it out to be. And I think a lot of it, I really started thinking about that when my dad got sick, and I felt my whole world was spiraling, and I felt claustrophobic, and it, my anxiety was peaking through the roof, and just being able to be this is just crazy. This does not have to be this way. You just need to stop and think about it differently. And when you can finally think about it in a different perspective, and you can be positive about it, it makes all the difference. And I totally agree with you with the people that are so negative about everything, because it's just you are doing this to yourself. You are really just you're stewing in it. You're literally sitting in your shit right now. And this is why you are the way that you feel right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Adriana, she was just calling to tell you how much worse she had it than you. She wasn't checking to see how you were doing. She was just making sure you knew.
It was honestly, it made my day because it was so funny. I was like, wow, she's fucking.
Oh, thank you. It really isn't that bad. Thank you.
That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, wow. I'm like, that was just something else, I mean, it was just the most odd. I hung up laughing. I was like, man. And that, to your point, I was like, life's not so bad, man, because I don't have that attitude.
And it's so true. I have those people when they're they look at you and they're how was your day? And you're just oh God, that you're gonna say how your day was, and I'd be oh, it was all right. There was ups and downs, peaks and valleys of the day, normal life stuff. And then you're preparing yourself, and you're just
oh yeah.
How was your day? And that it's going to just be this spew of negativity, and it brings you down. I don't know about you guys, but when you are around those people and they're just oh, well, this hurts and this hurts and this didn't work out and this worked. And you're just and it's repetitive, and that every single time you're going to it's just, it brings you down, and just man,
it's an energy suck.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. If you don't sitting in a shitty diaper, change it.
Exactly. And make changes, make it make your something in your life more positive. Not everything in your life can suck. There has to be something that's positive in your life. And so hold on to whatever that one thing is in that moment and hold on tight until whatever it is passes. Cause yeah, man, like I'm always just like, okay, here we go. We can get through this. It's going to be all right. We got this. So,
Yep.
mhm,
Definitely know a few of those.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's wild.
Yeah. Misty, your story is awesome, man. It's really awesome that you came and shared it, because we definitely have a lot of people, listeners, I think, who kind of have that anxiety about going into the gym. And, what yours stemmed from was really deep. And I think you being brave enough to share it with us helps really a lot of our listeners, maybe, who are kind of struggling with similar things, to, change their attitude about it, and, just take one step at a time.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here. I'm so glad you guys asked me to come in and
Yeah.
share my story.
No, it's an incredible journey, like absolutely just incredible what you've overcome, and, that positivity that you're bringing forward and bringing it to other people so that they can learn how to thrive in their life and to reach their goals, and to give them a different perspective on how to approach it. Because I think that, people get so set in their ways with, well, there's nothing, like, I don't know what to do. I'm stuck. I don't know how to reevaluate whatever. So to have somebody who's been through it first off, and like knows what they're going through and understands that, and to be able to guide them through that, it's pretty incredible. So definitely just awesome.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that was one of my main drivers behind doing all this, like with myself. Like when I was starting to go through all this, I was in traditional like talk therapy, and I had to stop going because my two daughters were seeing what I was going through. They were getting anxious and having some issues with it. So I put them into therapy, and I couldn't afford for all of it. And I kept saying for all of us to go. So I just kept saying, there needs to be, why isn't there some place where, or something that you can do, so people who can't afford to go to therapy or who need something outside of therapy, it's like, okay, you have your therapy appointment scheduled here and you don't get to talk to your therapist for another 3 weeks, but something's good happening and you want to celebrate, or you're having something. Why isn't there like a support group? And I just kept saying that for years. And then after like joining CLS, talking to a lot of the people, I'm like, why do I have to have somebody else? Why can't I do that? Why can't that be me? And I said, I worked on my healing, I worked on myself, and then I went through that period of like, well, who's going to listen to me? I'm nobody. But now it's like, now I know, it's like I've come through a lot. I have a lot to say and I have a lot to share, and if I can help any, even just one person, it's worth it for me. So I love what I'm doing now. It's fulfilling.
Mm-hmm.
There are people that have been that are where you have been. So yeah, that is great.
Mm-hmm.
Make a positive impact like that, pull them out of it. So important.
Yeah,
Um,
it's so super important to celebrate every single little win, and like just have that support system there to help you along. And um like I said, there's times when it's not readily available right there. So that's kind of why I'm just doing what I do now. Is just want to be there for people so that everybody has their little sounding board so they can come and just celebrate their wins, and with each other, to know that it is a big deal. Like you drove to the end of the street and you haven't drove in 4 years. That's amazing. Good job. Let's celebrate. What do you want to do for a reward for that?
Yep.
yeah, it's so important to surround yourself with positive people to, if you're around
Mhm.
like negative people all the time, you're never gonna break out of it. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, I have a few lightning round questions we could try. All right, so the first one's what's the most unexpected thing that has happened to you on your journey?
I would say it's the people that I met and my support systems. Um, when I started this, I didn't think I would meet the people that I met, and just they've been there for me so much. And actually, and then like it's putting me where I'm at right now, to where I'm able to share this with people. So it's going to be yeah, people I've met, friends I've gained, support systems I've gained.
Yeah, awesome. Do you have like a favorite quote or mantra that keeps you motivated?
Um,
Or is there
yes,
anybody inspiring or something that, that
I do have the one, a friend of mine that I actually met through CLS. Him and I used to talk a lot, and he would help me through some things. And he told me the story of the buffalo mentality, and it's why I now have a picture of a buffalo that hangs behind me every day. And I look at it, and it helped me through. Like last night, I went out of my comfort zone, went to do something. We went on a date night with my husband, and I was in a super crowded place, and I was starting to get anxious and feeling like I wanted to run. And my husband tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "Look behind you." And there was this big picture of a buffalo. And I turned
oh
around and I looked, and I was just instantly calm, and I was fine the rest of the night. But are you guys familiar with the buffalo mentality?
No.
no.
So it's in a storm, a buffalo will turn, instead of turning to run from the storm, a buffalo will turn and face into the storm and walk into the storm, because if they turn and run from it, they're going to be in it longer. If they face and go right through it, they're coming out of it in a shorter period of time. And that's always just been, ever since he told me that, that's been inspiring to me. And when I'm having a rough day or I'm feeling like I turn around, I look at this picture, and it just keeps me going. Even like today, like I said, I was nervous about doing this, completely out of my comfort zone, but it was just like right before we got on, I just turned around, I was looking at it, and like, I can do this. It's gonna be good.
You're a natural.
I love
Thank you.
that. I love how there's like a lot of visual representations too that you just happen to have. That's like perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. This last one, Kerri came up with this one. I like this. If you could sum up in one sentence what you think got you where you want to be, what would you say?
Um, that I remembered who I am, and that I'm enough, and I'm worth fighting for.
I love that.
That, yeah,
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
beautiful. All right. As we prepare to wrap things up, we're gonna get back to I missed last week with the 22 too many veteran. We dedicate each episode to the veteran that died by suicide, and we get this from the 22toomany.org site. So today's veteran is Charles Brandon Chuck Staten. He was 29. He died on February 1st, 2011 at his home. So it's like as of what's today, as we're recording this, it's the 4th. So yeah, it was
Yeah.
just like the anniversary a few days ago. Um, he was born on August 25th, 1981 in Benton, Illinois. He was a 1999 graduate from Benton Consolidated High School, and he joined the U.S. Army, serving from January 2000 to August 2003 with the 82nd Airborne Division, 307 Engineer Battalion, and he earned an associate's degree from Ren Lake College in 2006. Chuck was an avid hunter and fisherman, and he loved his family and friends. He was a wonderful father and husband. So that's always tough when they have kids too.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oof.
So yeah, so sad, but we want to bring attention to this because at least 22 veterans die by suicide a day. So and yeah, we need to help our veterans, and
Oh yeah.
so but this was a really good time though that we had today.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
Misty.
thank you. Yes, it was. It was actually, I relaxed a lot. Now I'm not so nervous
Where
about it.
your lunch?
Yes, this was fun. I had a lot of fun with it. Thank you guys so much
Yeah.
for having me on.
Now, do you do any coaching, or do you have like anything you'd like to promote?
Yeah, I actually I do coaching. I'm just getting started with it. It's called Grow with Misty. Um and the website's growwithmisty.com, and we do have a membership group that you can join. I have a Facebook page that's Grow with Misty, and then we also have a separate membership group where we meet once a week on a Zoom call. We talk about anything you want to celebrate. And then you can post things. We do daily affirmations, daily journal prompts. And then I do some one-on-one coaching for NLP as well as hypnotherapy sessions, and working right now on doing a pre-recorded one that you like, a pre-recorded mini NLP session that'll come with some hypnotherapy that you can just purchase and then listen to it on your own time and stuff. Yeah.
Oh, love that. Yeah, that sounds great. All right, and then Adriana, want to give Soul Friend a shout out?
Yeah, definitely. My company's Soul Friend Yoga. So we sell athleisure wear and yoga mats. Partial proceeds go to fund the mission for right now. We've been working with a lot of the local animal shelters. We also do benefits for at-risk communities. And if you want to check out our website, it's soulfriendyoga.com. We're on Instagram, Facebook. And if you're listening today, capital SOUL 20 will get you 20% off anything in our store. We have some really cool new yoga mats that are just popping up too.
I need to go look because I need a new yoga mat.
Yeah.
Terribly. Mine's falling apart.
Just text me, Kerri, and I'll give you a better discount than
You're
Sorry.
amazing.
she gets a better one than you guys.
Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Kerri?
So you can find me on Instagram at running _ oh wait, no. Running.
You confusing
Back up a
yourself?
sec, sorry. Coach is gonna be like, see, this is why it's so confusing. And running _with_ rockstar. So if you want to follow my fitness journey, with major marathons or OCR shenanigans and training that goes into all of that, and a little bit of the adaptive world, then definitely give me a follow. Or if you have any questions or anything and want to reach out, just DM me and I'm happy to chat with you guys and all that jazz. So.
And then you can find me at the Rhode Runner, RHODE, on all the socials. And I've created Instagram and Facebook for this new podcast. So it's Inspiring Journeys Pod on Instagram. And you can look up Inspiring Journeys on Facebook. And there's a Inspiring Journeys Pod at gmail.com. Because like some bastard already took Inspiring Journeys, so I had to add the pod at the end. So, but we're up and official and we're up and running. So I'm so happy about this. Thank you so much, Misty. You did awesome
Misty.
job.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story. That's incredible. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Thank you, ladies, for once again.
Thank you. Have a good day, guys.
Bye, you too.
Okay,
All right,
bye.
we'll see ya. Have a good day.
Thanks.
Bye.